Ronnie Blakey here with Ross Williams, and we're going to show you how you can have a bit of fun while you watch these WSL events unfold. It's called Fantasy Surfing, Ross, and it's very easy to play.
Everyone loves fantasy leagues, and for surfing it's no different. It's the best way to kind of talk trash with your buddies. I know me and you are kind of, tussling for that first spot right now, and this is how you get it done. Yeah,
we've got our own little WSL commentary group up there in fantasy surfing, and you can get your friends together and get a bit of smack talk happening as well. But it is very easy to play. Points, they're collected by the form surfers, Ross. The guys who are getting the big numbers are going to help you elevate your total.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So you're going to pick from 3 different tiers based off the ratings, and you set your team. You're going to collect their points. So whatever points they get in their heat, you're going to gather those points. If they win a first round or a third round, they'll obviously skip around. You're going to get the highest score from that loser round. So basically, that's how you get the points and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. So really easy to pick those teams. It's done automatically via the Jeep leaderboard. But we're going to dive into your team now, Ross, and this is going to be fun for people to have a look at. Some really good insights here. And Ross is good because he always throws a couple of curveballs in there and puts a couple of dark horses into the mix. So let's check it out. We'll have a look at your team, and I will pick it apart. There it is. So there's the different tiers. You've got obviously 2 surfers to pick from in the top 10. I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so you can see right here, Ronnie, I picked John.
Ooh.
And so we all know that John suffered a little bit of a knee injury in Tahiti, but I've watched a few free surfs in the last couple of days, and he's looking really strong. So I actually like that, maybe he'll rely on more of his power surfing, which is underrated here at Lowers. Everyone gets so caught up in the errors and who's going to be above the lip, but John might just be thinking about power.
I think John's a quick pick for a lot of people in that top tier, but you've got to keep a couple of things in mind. The knee injury, for one. The fact that he is holding onto the yellow jersey for the first time in his career.
Pressure.
So there's going to be a little bit of pressure on him. I actually went with Julian Wilson, a former finalist in this contest in Tier A, and I also like the fact that Julian's out of the spotlight as far as the title race is
I think that's a great pick, Ronnie, and also Julian has awesome fundamentals. That guy can, throw down power carves like nobody's business. And same with this cat right here, Jordy. That's why I picked him. He only has 9% right now, so it's a bit of a bargain. 71% of us have John on the team, so he's popular. You want to get those sneaky picks so you collect points without anyone else.
Now, putting a team together for Tahiti was very easy. The tiers actually dictated the winners for the event. I thought from Tier A, B and C that there was potential winners in all 3 tiers, so very easy to make those picks. But in the second tier here at Trestles, it was very difficult to get your team locked in.
Yeah, so the reason for that, and that's a great point, Ronnie, is in Tahiti, shallow, big waves, it's scary. Everyone's, there's fear involved, and so it becomes very clear who's the guy. When you're looking at Lowers, it's high performance, and pretty much the whole field rules it out here at Lowers. So all of a sudden, you're looking at this list going, I don't know where to go. And, so you can't really go wrong. Here's my picks. Obviously, that's Dr. Obvious there with Mick Fanning. That's my insurance. I know I'm going to share him with everyone else, but you can't leave him off your team. He's, there's a great chance he's going to get 3rd or better in this event. Felipe, he's that guy that is another one for me, Ronnie. It's a passion pick. He's got too much pop and explosion to avoid off your team. Even though he's not your Mick Fanning power surfer, he's probably going to do some of the best performance surfing in this event.
Exactly, yeah. There's certain events where Felipe is just a walk-up start in your team, or has to be, and this is an event where he's hasn't had the victory on the CT, but he has had some QS success here in the past. Sebastian Zietz, that's an interesting inclusion in your team.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if you're the same way as me, but I'll set my team, look at it, and go, gosh, I don't know what I want to do. I want to move back and forth with different surfers. I had Josh Kerr right here, who has been on an amazing roll. He's been stacking up good results, but I don't know if you saw on Instagram Seabass's clip he put on there where he was kind of fell on the rocks and regained control, and he was just doing his typical Seabass, messing around, and he said, you should put me on your team. I'm feeling really agile right now. I was like, cool, I'm sold. You're in, Seabass. And so there's nothing really scientific about it. I just was psyched on it.
And he had that interesting interference, priority interference at the end of a heat with Michel Perez last year, and he was one of the form surfers before he fell out of the mix. Tier C, this is probably my favourite tier to pick from because you're going to take some chances down there.
Yeah, so Tier C is where it gets kind of confusing, and these top levels, it gets like, a little more simple. You're like, okay, these are the guys. And Tier C, it's like, whoa, where do I go here? But so you have to be clever with who's hot right now. Alejo Muniz had a great result. He got 5th again in J-Bay. And if you remember J-Bay, Ronnie, it was glassy. It was about head high. It looked like lower. So I feel like I'm going to go off that for his performance. And then Stewie, we all know what he did on a Goldie.
On the Gold Coast, he looks sharp. I think his equipment is really well suited to this location. He'll be hard to beat. I went with Ryan Callanan in the bottom section, Tier C there. I just think that he might have that breakout event here at Trestles. So that's it. Fantasy surfing, it's easy to play, it's good fun, and it's not too late to get your team in. So lock it down and have some fun.
Good luck.
Lowers is just a beautiful peak wave that breaks left and right. The most important part of the cobblestones, because the way they sit on the point, it's just perfect. This wave tends to be really peaky because of the cobblestones, so I think it's really important when you're in the heat just to really pick the right wave. The judges really love when you go right, because throughout the past years that's where everyone got their major scores. So for me, I would drop in, hopefully do a huge vertical backside turn, and maybe do a few other variations of the same first turn, and then hopefully close it with a shebang. I think frontside, it's much more diverse. If you're taking a frontside approach, you can be John and do an air on your first section, and then do a cutback, and then do like a huge tail slide, and then maybe like finish it off with a huge like floater or something. This wave really provides such a beautiful canvas for everyone to just do their work on, and yeah, it's a great wave. It's really fun.
Thank you, Tatiana Weston-Webb, for your version of the GoPro breakdown of lower trestles here in San Clemente, California. Tati was great for that breakdown because she used to win out here as an amateur at the USA titles under 18s, under 16s. You like that finishing move?
I did.
And that was a fun description of this wave, Pete, right? Because she mentioned every single maneuver in the book that you could do out here. That's why the world's best love to come here.
And again, it's just, of all the waves on tour, this is probably the mini ramp, if you could have a skateboard analogy. and allows that type of surfing to happen. You know, all types of surfing to happen. I mean, even Kelly Slater's found a barrel out here. It's pretty rare, but it does happen.
It does happen sometimes. Sage Erickson, Lakey Peterson on the matchup to kick things off first thing in the morning. Two longtime childhood rivals from the same turf up the coast. Strider, I know you're doing missions all the time up to that corner in California. How often do you see Sage and Lakey sparring in between events?
You know, quite often. They love the Queen of the Coast, Rincon, and you get to see them at their finest out there, and getting that view, watching them surf. You know, you're walking up the point, you just see somebody ripping across the wave, and you realize that it's, you know, either Lakey or Sage, and you're like, wow, that was amazing. And you have to step back and just realize how good they really are, because the damage they do out there on those walls is super impressive, and for them to have a wave like this to come and battle on is very close to the pace of that wave, and we get to see that out here. It's going to be a fun heat.
They're just flashing back to their childhood. Lakey Peterson did the first air from a woman to win an open women's title out here. Pete Mel was on the call, blew out our headsets because he absolutely screamed. You were so stoked with seeing that progression movement happen.
Back today,
and you got your voice back finally.
So I will try and keep it tame today. I think that for me, looking at this round, I really like the Tyler Bethany matchup. And the reason being is that obvious 13th was given to Tyler Wright in Fiji by Bethany Hamilton. So there's no way that Tyler can afford another 13th here. You know, it's a nice matchup because of that kind of semi-rivalry that's already happened there. They're both with the same sponsor. And, you know, they're both good friends, you know, but once they hit the water, Bethany's not going to back down.
You're touching on the key heats, Pete, in the world title race. Tyler Wright rematch against wildcard Bethany Hamilton. Hamilton took out Tyler in round 2 earlier this season at the Fiji Pro. Will it happen again at Lowers? Followed by Conlog taking on Chelsea Tuwalk. So our two top surfers on the Jeep leaderboard dealing with a sudden death round first thing in the morning, Strider.
Yeah, you know, the Tuwalk heat is going to be interesting because we haven't seen her really just light up yet. She's on tour for a reason. This just could be the event where she just goes gangbusters and just lets it all go, and we get to see the form and what she's got. I mean, I've seen her rip. I've seen her just go off out there. She's got that little frame, but she puts it in the right place and has the power on the face, which is great. She knows how to get the fins free in the lip. Like we said, everybody's got game at Lowers. This could be the event for her, and she could stop Courtney.
It's pretty scary, Pete, that the focus is on Tyler Courtney, the surfers without a world title to their name. And there's a woman named Carissa Moore, defending champ, who's hungry to win, number 3 in the world. And then Gilmore with her performance yesterday. Are you putting her out of the world title conversation?
Well, it's going to be a tough road unless she just goes on a string of wins. And Stephanie could do that, but it's unlikely because the talent pool is so high right now. You've got Tyler Wright, who has the best advantage, having 3 wins already this season. There's only been 6 events. So you'd have to say that Tyler Wright is in the definitely driver's seat. But she's got to get through this heat, you know, and she's got to keep that momentum going. And she's got to beat Bethany Hamilton today.
Tyler getting a little warm-up surf as she has a huge heat for her world title campaign coming up later on this morning. Up next on Dawn Patrol, we'll talk about the greatest of all time returning to form at Chopu, Tahiti. Welcome to Dawn Patrol. Early in the morning here in San Clemente, California. The contest is called on for the Swatch Women's Pro. Round 2 action will kick off today, and we talked about the heavy world title heats. Tyler Wright, Courtney Conlog will be coming up quickly this morning. Joe Turpel, Pete Mel, Strider Wasilewski on hand for the morning call. One thing we always want to talk about with you, Pete, is the Surfline forecast. Yesterday we got to run 6 heats. Why don't you break down the maps for us today?
Well, as you can see, that little purple blob is what we're going to start seeing here. We've also got that other one there on the lower left, which is actually starting to show up now. So we had some little south swell that was good angled. Now we're going to have some more westerly angled swell going into this rest of this weekend. Peaking Saturday-ish, Sunday-ish. So we've been waiting patiently for this swell to arrive. It has to go through the cheese grater, as we call it. There's all those Tuamotus, Tahiti. There's some shallow water there. As you can see, that window as it moves up into Southern California, that's what creates inconsistencies. It creates a little bit of a hack in the size slightly. But I think trestles is the funnest or most fun at that 4 to 5 foot range, which you can see right there on your screen, Strider.
Yeah, we're going to have really great waves out here. I think the fact is that it's a magnet. You know, the swell that comes up the coast here just gets sucked into lowers, and no matter what direction it is, the cobblestone format just lends itself to forming up these walls, a liquid skate park, as Giggs would say, and it's the funnest thing to watch. I mean, these guys and these women are going to have so much fun out here this week. I cannot wait to watch this thing unfold.
And for all of us on the beach, we're so excited when things just start firing on the opening day of the waiting period. We don't have to wait. We get pretty restless around here waiting for these key heats, and we talk about them all day long, looking like we'll be running straight through for the Hurley Pro and the Swatch Women's Pro.